Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Shalom, family. Good to see you all. Hope you're doing well. Oh, look like some of these folks that got fired by Donald Trump got a backbone and they're going after him. So, y'all, Donald Trump fired so many melanated people. It's not even funny. And it is clearly racism. More than 75% of the people that were let go since Donald Trump came into office were Black men and Black women. A lot of Black women, but Black men are in there too. And one is taking a stand and he is suing Donald Trump, and they should sue, especially if he let you go from a position you were more than qualified for and you've been in that position, done well, got good reviews. Yeah, no, then there's no justifiable reason other than race because Donald Trump has been ranting on this DEI stuff, you know, that it could be, you know? So we know they have come up with everything under the sun to get rid of all of these people, including resorting to letting men go in the military over razor bumps. So they're just grasping for straws. They're looking for any little reason, even if the reason makes 0 sense. They are looking for any reason to get our people out of these government jobs. And that's what Donald Trump has spent his time doing, taking down monuments, trying to imply that we're not qualified. Of all people, Donald Trump is probably the most unqualified president of all times. And it is just hilarious how nobody's unqualified except for us. No people among his group, they're not unqualified for anything, even when they're put in positions like a television Fox News host is now in charge of the Department of Defense or Department of War. That is supposed to be okay. But us occupying a position that we're really qualified for, that is a problem, and we must go. I mean, these people are a trip. No wonder why your life is going down the drain, Donald Trump. And I don't know if y'all heard, but they said Rudy Giuliani is in critical condition and things don't look so good for him. So he's not doing well, according to the reports that came out in the news. But Donald Trump, you got a lot of nerve. You got a lot of nerve talking about somebody's not qualified. Your entire cabinet is not qualified for the jobs they're in. But see, we're used to y'all getting jobs and not being qualified for those jobs. We've all seen it. I don't think you're going to come across any of us that have not seen this in the workforce. We've all seen it. Y'all will get in positions you never did before. And on top of getting in a position you never did before, don't have no experience in, they'll give you top dollar. So, y'all, let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay, please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Give me a 1 if you can see my screen. No, many of them are not qualified. But every time they talk about people that are not qualified, they always imply it's us, which is laughable because, they'll have a big corporation with hundreds of people in there, and you can count us on one hand. Okay. Trust me, if we are sitting in any position out here, we are definitely qualified because when it comes down to us, you will check everything short of our DNA to make sure we're qualified for a job. But y'all, on the other hand, could have the flimsiest resume and still get a job you're not qualified for. Okay? I have seen it so many times. To me, it's just the norm. It's the norm. Anytime you can take people like Donald Trump's administration, Elon, who never worked in the government, he got put in this special position and he ultimately screwed things up. But that's okay. That's okay because that's a white male. It's okay if you're a white male and not qualified for a job. You can still get that job. So, but when it comes down to us, all of a sudden everything must be perfect. We must have everything in our background plus some. So, no, when we are in a position, we are definitely qualified for those positions. We are definitely qualified. Okay, thank you for the ones.
This is George Cook at African American Reports. Alvin Brown, a black former National Transportation Safety Board member fired by Donald Trump, argues in a new lawsuit that race discrimination shaped the administration's termination of black officials at independent agencies. According to the complaint filed at the United States District Court of the District of Columbia, Brown's attorney says 75% of black officials at independent agencies have been fired under Trump. They also say in that same complaint that Trump has removed black Senate confirmed appointees. He has either nominated a non-black individual for their replacement or has not formally replaced them at all. And they believe that since Brown's firing was racially motivated, it therefore violated Mr. Brown's constitutional rights under the Fifth Amendment. Let's wish Alvin Brown and his attorneys well in this case because it's obvious Trump's racist ass is firing people based only on their race. In other words, he's just firing people for being black. All right, y'all. Goodbye and God bless.
This black man right here is taking on the Trump administration. I bring up his race because it's central to his lawsuit. He says he was fired because he's black. Here's the lawsuit right here that Alvin Brown filed. He's not just doing it for himself. He's doing it for the other black people who were fired, and he's bringing receipts. Here it is, right up here. In his lawsuit, he claims that 75% of black officials at independent agencies have been removed under Trump, compared to 27% of white officials. Now, Alvin Brown worked for the NTSB. He was nominated by President Joe Biden. People are saying this is a political firing. He's having none of that. This is what he's saying. Mr. Brown's removal from the NTSB cannot be explained by the fact that Mr. Brown is a Democrat. Here's why. There were two other Democrats serving on the board. Brown was the only black board member and the only one fired. The Trump administration says he was removed based on performance, not race. Trump nominated a white man to replace him.
Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth are now using bureaucratic sleight of hand to kick black men out of the military entirely. Recently, Pete Hegseth announced that the Pentagon would be changing how they handle shaving waivers. Shaving waivers are something that a service member can get whenever they have a medical condition that prevents them from shaving their face every day. The most common reason that service members are given a shaving waiver is a medical condition called pseudofolliculitis barbae. Pseudofolliculitis barbae is when hair that has been shaven begins to curl inward on itself, and the tip of the hair, which is sharper because of previously shaving, re-pierces the skin and causes the hair to then grow inward. This medical condition causes incredibly painful bumps that in severe cases can even develop into open wounds. This condition, which is also referred to by the shorthand acronym PFB, is most common in people who have a coarser and curlier hair texture. If you put two and two together, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to very quickly figure out that FB is a condition that disproportionately impacts Black people. In the military, Black men account for 66% of the shaving waivers currently given out. According to Hegseth's memo, any service member who is still in need of a shaving waiver beyond a 1-year period would be subject to administrative separation from the military. Make no mistake about it, this new guidance is meant to target Black service members. It is meant to make being in the military significantly less attractive or sustainable for Black service members. They are using bureaucratic channels to make the military white.
Breaking. Hegseth gets caught killing promotions for Black and women officers because racist. Trump doesn't want to stand next to them. Secretary of War Crimes Pete Hegseth is blocking the promotion of 4 highly qualified Army officers to 1-star general and, surprise, surprise, 2 of them are Black and 2 of them women. Senior military officials are now openly questioning whether race and gender are the real reasons. The officers were on a standard promotion list of about 3 dozen mostly white men. Hegseth had been pressuring Army Secretary Daniel P. Driscoll for months to remove their names, citing vague concerns. Driscoll repeatedly refused, pointing to their decades of exemplary service. Hegseth finally overruled him and unilaterally struck the 4 names from the list. This comes after reports that a top Hegseth aide told Driscoll that President Trump would not want to stand next to a Black female officer at military events, and specifically objecting to Major General's Antoinette R. Gant, a combat engineer who has served in both Iraq and Afghanistan, being given command of the military district of Washington. Hegseth has repeatedly said he wants to reverse woke policies he claims discriminate against white officers. But this heavy-handed scrutiny of female and minority officers is politicizing what is supposed to be a merit-based, apolitical promotion system and is eroding trust inside the military. If Pentagon Pete showing clear bias against qualified Black and female officers to please the racist in chief, please like and share.
Trump just fired the entire National Science Board, all 24 members, with no explanation. And just in case you don't know, the National Science Board, or NSB, is an independent government body that oversees how billions of dollars in U.S. science funding is prioritized based on merit and not on politics. So to give you an idea, the NSB has enabled breakthroughs like the internet, Google search logic, and MRI technology. Oh, and AI. Let's not forget AI, which is near and dear to Trump. Well, that body is gone, fired by Trump in a move that, for the first time in the 75-year history of the board, breaks the tradition of keeping science insulated from political influence. So what happens next? Well, for now, the board is non-existent, which begs the question, who decides how to spend that money? Of course, if it's fully replaced by Trump, we have that answer, and that should worry everyone, no matter who you voted for. Because the president is telling America, I get to choose what scientific progress looks like, and innovation happens only if I like it. What's dangerous, what can be exploited, you get to know it only if I want to. This is an unacceptable attempt to politicize science that will, at best, slow down its progress, and at worst, hijack it for political gain. Either way, I thought you should probably know that the president is holding your progress hostage.
This is George Cook at African American Reports. Alvin Brown, a Black former National Transportation Safety Board member fired by Donald Trump, argues in a new lawsuit that race discrimination shaped the administration's termination of Black officials at independent agencies. According to the complaint filed in the United States District Court of the District.
So Dookie Booty is being sued for firing Black folks. And now all of a sudden, he just nominated this Black woman to be the director of the CDC.
You don't find that suspicious? You don't find that suspicious?
I find it highly suspicious that all of a sudden Dookie Booty want to start hiring Black folks now that he getting sued for firing Black folks. This say Alvin Brown, a former NTSB board member, has filed a lawsuit alleging he was fired because of his race. According to the lawsuit, as many as 75% of Black officials at independent agencies were removed under Dookie Booty. When qualified Black leaders are pushed out under such circumstances, it raises serious questions about fairness, equal protection, and the integrity of our institutions. Brown is rightfully seeking accountability. As you should, Alvin. Get your money, because we already know Dookie Booty just firing black folks because he racist. And he know we're not about to just fall in line. We're not just about to follow his bullshit blindly and do whatever the fuck he said. But he went ahead and nominated Erica Schwartz. I wonder if she's another Byron or if she is actually nonpartisan, like it said. But here's a little background on Erica. So it said that she spent most of her career as a military and public health official, including U.S. Navy, U.S. Coast Guard, and U.S. Public Health Service. And she served as Deputy Surgeon General during Dookie Booty's first administration. So she not new to Dookie Booty. She worked with him before. But I think it's a setup. Either he trying to cover his ass for that lawsuit or trying to hire one black person, or they setting her up to take a fall for some shit. Or she might just be coming in to clean up all of RFK Jr.'s fuck ups, because that motherfucker fucking up every motherfucking thing. But we're going to see what happens. But it's real suspicious to me.
Water is wet, the sky is blue, and the president of the United States is a racist. But what else is new? The Trump administration is alleged to have fired 75% of black officials at independent government agencies in a lawsuit against them from a black former federal employee. He claims he was fired because of his race. The New Republic is reporting that Alvin Brown, a Democratic member of the National Transportation Safety Board, nominated by President Biden, was fired from his post in May of 2025 in his lawsuit filed in the U.S. District Court. Brown said that political differences couldn't have been the main reason for his firing from the NTSB. Brown's lawyers, who work for the Democracy Forward Foundation, also claim that 75% of black officials at independent agencies have been fired under Trump. And don't get me wrong, this coming from a president endorsed by the KKK during his campaigns isn't a surprise. I think it's good news that people are taking them to court because of these actions. They're 100% illegal. And more importantly, it's good that the data behind those firings is on record and being used in this.
Donald Trump is being sued again, because he's been sued so very many times since even just taking back over as president of the United States. But this one is a serious one. It's a big one. And it does seem like one that Donald Trump is definitely going to lose. This particular lawsuit is against Donald Trump for apparently his race-based firings at the federal government. The guy who accused all other leaders, specifically Democrats, of course, of engaging in race-based hiring, has been engaged in race-based firing since he came into office. Alvin Brown, a Democratic member of the National Transportation Safety Board, was fired from his post in May of 2025. In his lawsuit filed in U.S. District Court last Tuesday, Brown said that political differences couldn't have been the main reason for his firing from the NTSB. Brown's lawyers, who work for the Democracy Forward Foundation, also claimed that 75% of black officials at independent government agencies have been fired under Trump. Mr. Brown's removal from the NTSB cannot be explained by the fact that Mr. Brown is a Democrat and President Trump might have wanted to exert Republican control over the board. At the time of Mr. Brown's removal from the NTSB, there were two other Democrats serving on the board who did not get fired. So does anybody know the difference between Mr. Brown and these two other Democrats who got to keep their jobs? That's right. The two people who kept their jobs were white. In fact, the lawyers in their argument proving that Donald Trump, of course, is engaged in, racial profiling, every single black person that he has fired from the federal government that was appointed by the Senate. So all of these appointments that had to be Senate confirmed, all of those that were fired that are black, not one of them, not one, has been replaced with another black person. Every one of them has either not been replaced at all or has been replaced by a white person. Trump came into office and campaigned on, as all Republicans did in 2022 and 2024, against DEI, right? DEI for Republicans, at least in their minds, is we're taking black and brown people, or sometimes, God forbid, women, and we are giving them the jobs. while telling qualified white men to go kick rocks, you're not welcome here. So basically, our entire country was being run by unqualified women and black people. So Republicans were going to fix that. We're going to put in people not based on the color of their skin, but based on their level of competence.
Y'all, Trump is firing the black people. One by one, the black faces inside his administration are vanishing, fired by email, text, or in the dead of night. Robert E. Primus was one of them, blindsided by a message that ended his career with a single click. What's happening isn't random. It's a purge, a quiet resegregation of federal power. Primus is the first black chair of the Surface Transportation Board, but now he joins a growing list of black officials abruptly ousted from the Trump administration. From General Charles Q. Brown Jr., the nation's top military officer, to Carla Hayden, the first black librarian of Congress. Even Lisa Cook, the first black woman on the Federal Reserve's board, had to sue to keep her seat. His administration's reasoning, they don't align with the president's agenda. But when almost every replacement, every one of them, is white, it starts to look less like realignment and more like resegregation. Of 98 top Senate confirmed appointees in his first 200 days, only just 2% are black, despite black people making up 13% of the US population. Compare that to Biden's 21%. Obama's was even higher. As one expert put it, Trump likes black faces behind his podiums, just not behind his policies. For decades, federal service has been a ladder to the black middle class. Steady work, fair pay, dignity. But today, that ladder is being yanked away rung by rung. Or as former board member Janine Wilcox said after her own late night firing, we had targets on our backs by virtue of the color of our skin. Welcome to Project 2025, y'all, where a text message can end a career and where thank you for your service sounds a lot like don't call us back. Y'all stay woke now.
I'll be watching Alvin Brown's lawsuit against Donald Trump very closely. When Trump first started gutting federal agencies, it felt off. It seemed to be targeted at one of the largest employers of the black middle class, and accordingly felt targeted against the black middle class. Alvin Brown is now calling that thing a thing. He has alleged race discrimination in Trump's actions, noting that in some departments and at some agencies, 75% of the people laid off were black. I've yet to see the agency where 75% of the overall population is black. So that layoff percentage seems highly suspect. And I can't imagine a statistical analysis that would support it. If Alvin Brown prevails, hundreds, if not thousands, of the discriminatory fired black folks will be getting paid. Oftentimes, what feels off is actually off. Really happy to see this brother putting that to the test. Respect, Alvin, respect.
Hey, I'm about to say something, and I need you to really hear what I'm about to say. So I cannot and will not take any person seriously, especially any black person who looks me in the eye and says Donald Trump is not racist. Either that or somebody who asked me to prove it, because at this point, that's not ignorance. That's a choice. And I need to treat it like the choice that it is. We all do. We're not talking about feelings. We're not talking about rumors or political opinions. We're talking about more than 50 years of documented evidence. Let me be specific. In 1973, the United States Department of Justice sued Trump and his father for housing discrimination against black tenants. That's a federal case. That's on record. In 1989, he took out full-page ads in 4 New York newspapers calling for the execution of 5 Black and Latino teenagers, the Central Park 5. And they were later proven to be innocent, yet he has never, not once, apologized. He spent years promoting the lie that Barack Obama, the first Black president, was not born in America, birtherism. designed to delegitimize a Black man's right to hold the highest office in this nation. He called African nations, the entire countries full of human beings, shithole countries. He told Black members of Congress, American citizens duly elected, go back to where they came from. He said that. He has systematically dismantled DEI programs, the very programs designed to counteract the documented discrimination that kept Black people out of rooms that they had earned the right to be in. He has pardoned people who stormed the Capitol to overturn an election, right? An election where Black voters in cities like Atlanta, Detroit, and Philadelphia made the difference. So make no mistake about what that pardon communicated, okay? And right now, today, Black professionals, Black women especially, are being removed from positions of influence under the banner of meritocracy, as if the system was ever a meritocracy in the first place. All of this is documented. All of this is on record. All of this is findable in 5 minutes. Quick Google search. But when a Black person looks at all of that and still asks, well, how were they racist? They're not confused. They're committed to a false narrative that serves someone other than their own people. Because here's the truth. Admitting Trump's racism would require admitting that they've aligned themselves with it. And for some people, proximity to power matters more than truth. And that's not a political difference. That's a failure of discernment. And I'm not going to debate it, not here and not in my comment section, because see, this isn't about feelings. This is about 50 years of documented history. Baby, go get your research on.
Okay. So Donald Trump, this is not the first time discriminatory things have come up about him, and it won't be the last. It won't. But there are a lot of Black conservatives that will swear up and down Donald Trump is not racist. All I have to say is trying to block it out and pretend like it's not there doesn't work, because the majority of the people see it. I mean, look, even folks that look like Donald Trump see it and call it out. So I have to wonder, when a Black conservative never want to call it out, but you see white people calling out Donald Trump and what he's doing and discriminatory practices, something is definitely wrong. So, y'all, I'm going to keep my eye on this. I sure hope this brother wins his lawsuit against Donald Trump. But we shall see. If he's ready to settle out of court, we know that he doesn't have a leg to stand on. So I will watch this, and hopefully, there'll be updates on this lawsuit that comes out in the media. So y'all, I'm going to go ahead and conclude. And I have another story coming up at 1:45 where Iran fired 2 missiles at a U.S. warship a few hours ago. So we will talk about that at 1:45. So y'all have a wonderful afternoon, and I will see you then. Shalom, family.